I had my subject sorted out and I was going to be speaking with you on a topic I labeled the critical mass, the required critical mass. I'll probably leave that until next week, but I was going to talk to you about that this week. But then a drama which had been playing out for some time forces itself into my consciousness so much that I have no choice but to discuss it since they wouldn't keep their shit in their private space and they have to bring it into the public space for us to constantly talk about. So I looked at the totality of the imagined debate and I decided that looking at the Wicked and Sim show, or maybe you want to call that the Wicked and Simpleton show, that we should, I believe, speak to a subject, and I called it or I titled it "Pick Your Own Side." Because I saw a whole lot of people and commentaries, and it struck me that there is a critical need for us to speak to the subject, even though tangentially. So I have picked the topic for today, and the topic is pick your own side. But what do I mean when I said, or when I say pick your own side? Um, it bears some recap, so let's do that together. Sim Fubara might have been known, and I'm sure was well known to the people of Rivers State. He was obviously one of Wike's godsons and henchmen, a veritable member of the inner caucus and coven of the Wike mafia in Rivers State. And when Wike was leaving, in spite of his many protestations at not being interested in installing his successor, he of course anointed Fubara to be his successor. So the Lagos thing was meant to be replicated in Rivers. Well, man proposes. God, of course, decrees and determines what happens eventually. So let's just say that things haven't quite gone quite as the wicked one had expected. So having anointed him, the same machinery of impunity with which the presidential election results of the 25th of February were forced upon Nigerians, the same way Wike operated on the 25th of February, he operated yet again on the 18th of March. The will of the Rivers people thwarted, and similarly Fubara was foisted on the people of Rivers State. That is the long and short of it. It's not a story that wasn't replicated across the entirety of the country in one form or the other. The will of the people did not prevail. The local warlord or capo, the mafia lord in each locality, did what it had to do to retain power. And Wike did whatever Wike had to do to retain power. There are ample evidence in the public space of what transpired in Rivers, both on the 25th of February and on the 18th of March. So, as it is the way with godfathers and godsons, except of course you have perfected the art like the one that sits inside the asshole rock. As it has always been the case, so it became with Wike and Sim. And they started their battles very early in the time of the new governor, who wasn't quite amenable to being told what to do, who to pay, as his original master had imagined. So, having separated himself from his lord and master, I'm sure you remember how they dragged themselves all the way to Asshole Rock and the Capon, the Capon, the Tuti, the Capi inside Aso Rock made clear that he was throwing his weight behind the wicked one. At least that was what we heard from the elder in Rivers State who came out to tell the world what transpired. Apparently, similarly was just biding his time. So, upon getting confirmation of the Supreme Court on his stolen mandate, and obviously having received assurances from high on, Similarly was no longer able to maintain the peace of the graveyard that had been decreed by the Capon. So, the hostilities have resumed in Rivers State. So today, over 20, I believe, whether it's 21 or 27, I can't remember now, of their legislators who cross-carpeted into APC without their own capo following them are today no longer part of the Rivers. You know the story. My job is not to recap. But what I want to do is make you understand the context of your support for Sim or your support for Wike. The one thing that nobody seemed to have understood clear enough is the fact that neither of these gentlemen were in it for the people. The people have merely been the victim of both sides, or as many sides as they care to factionalize themselves into. The one thing that ought to be abundantly clear to the Nigerian is that the politicians have only one side, even when they are in different parties. How much more when they belong in the same crime family? So you have a situation on our hands where the ones who are fighting are actually brothers. So it's not a quarrel found on ideology or policy disagreements. It's a quarrel steeped in how to share the commonwealth, your wealth. So when I see our people taking sides, it reminds me of the spectacle of hyenas squabbling, or lions, a pack of lions squabbling, the pride of lions squabbling and fighting themselves, and then the antelopes and wildebeest believed that it was the proper amphitheater from where to enjoy the entertainment of watching the fight. When they're done fighting, they're coming for you. The entirety of the fight is to determine how to share the loot. You are the prize fools. They're not fighting over anything other than how to control your commonwealth. Nothing else excites them. Nothing else interests them. The entirety of the fight is about how to undermine your future, how to mortgage your future, how to sell your children and your children's children into slavery. They're not quarreling because they have some policy difference. No. It's about control. The control of the common purse, which had never been superintended for your purpose. So when you sit down and you're applauding either Sim or Wike, yeah, I understand that we all want to see like Wike get his comeuppance. Even I do. But you can enjoy his discomfiture without getting into the mode of losing sight of the objective. Both Sim and Wike are your enemies. Simplicity. Their strategic objective is your stupefaction and enslavement. They have the same purpose. They were doing it together. That they have a quarrel today over how to share the loot, don't let that blind you to who they are. Don't let that blind you to who they are. You can't be picking side with armed robbers who are quarreling over how to divide the spoils of your home. Your interest and their interest do not coincide. The only thing that is certain in the midst of this squabbling is that you've lost. You're the one who have lost. Let me share something with you. I used to be something of an inveterate gambler. I'd bet on practically anything, so you can take it for granted that I played almost all the card games. Nashi, Bangudu, Kashi, name it. Poker. I played it. But the one thing that I learned in my years of idiocy, which is why I'm so vociferously against gambling. One thing I learned, the only person who does not lose in the gambling enterprise is the owner of the casino. Everybody else will lose, but the owner of the casino is not losing. The owner of the casino is not losing. And who are the current owners of Nigeria? Jagaban PLC. Those are the current owners of the Nigerian franchise. They have a lot of sub-franchisees and all of that. But the dominant one today is the Jagaban PLC. How do they win in the river situation? I'll show you. The only reason that Sim would dare to find his coyones against Wike is because he has received assurances that law and order would be maintained. If the police commissioner in Rivers or the IG of police or any one of the powers connected to the monstrosity called the federal government were to be available to Wike, Fubara will not do what he is doing. If the impunities of Nigeria were not available to him, if they were available to Wike, he wouldn't do what he's doing. We were in this country when something similar to what you're seeing in Rivers was happening in Bayelsa during Alamie's years. Go and find out how many people impeached Alamie because there was federal might behind them. So if you're seeing Sim trapezing up and down the place today, no, it's because Wike's usefulness is transitory. What is important to Jagaban PLC is who can deliver the Rivers franchise, deliver his public purse, deliver his votes as given, and back it up with the powers of impunity required to enforce the will of impunity. It has calculated that his purposes in the current times are best served by the sitting governor. End of story. So when you're busy clapping for them, just keep in mind that you're also tightening the chains of impunity that allowed February 25th, that allowed March 18th, and that has allowed both the Supreme Court and every layer of our judiciary to act with impunity and to legitimize impunity. The ultimate loser are the victims of Nigeria. You know, there is one funny proverb that I've heard bandied around in the last couple of days. They say, oh, my enemy's enemy is my friend, presuming to identify the enemy's enemy as being Sim and the actual enemy as being wicked. And I laugh. Yorubas will say, Labalaba pera eleyele. The butterfly thinks itself a bird. My enemy's enemy is my enemy's enemy. He's not my friend. Do you understand? Sim is Wike's enemy. It doesn't make him my friend. Our strategic objectives are not the same. It might be the whip by which Wike's ass is being cleaned in this time, but he's no different from Wike. And if you guys will learn something from history, you will remember that when it was Odili, there was an Amechi to deal with him. When it was Amechi, there was a Wike to deal with him. Now it is a Wike and there is a Sim to cane his nyash. Soldier go, soldier come. Barrack remains intact. What has changed for the people of Rivers State? Even as these tyrants, little men without imagination, have held the state bound, using the instrumentality of impunity, murder, and all kinds of criminalities for the last 25 years. That is a quarter of a century, an entire lifetime. What has been the benefit to the people of Rivers? Each time a would-be savior come off the old block of criminality, they clapped. When you lot were busy clapping for the one in Edo because he was parting ways with his predecessor, did you expect him to be who he is today? The system is the true enemy. Those who function within the system, even when they quarrel amongst themselves, the victims should never make that to seem like they've suddenly discovered a love for them. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. The sooner you get that into your head, the better it will be for you and the faster it will be for you to get out of the mess we are all in. They care nothing about you. So when they have their quarrels, understand that their quarrels has nothing to do with your welfare. It's about their own selfish interests. You got that? Stop thinking yourself to matter to them. You don't. Which leads me to the point I want to make. Pick your own side. Yeah. Stop picking sides with those squabbling over how to destroy your lives. Pick your own side. What are your own enlightened selfish interests? Focus on them. Let those be the things that determines who you're supporting. What would this person do to the educational policies of the state? What would this person do to healthcare? What would this victory mean for security? What's your own side? What are your own enlightened selfish interests? Is it too much to expect that you should know what is good for you and then focus on those? Why must you always pick the sides of your oppressors? Is it too much to pick your own side? To like seriously determine what it is. Okay, so let's ask ourselves, if you're supporting Sim, and I'm not suggesting you shouldn't, anything that hurt Wike should be of interest to anyone, but exactly why are you supporting him? You can enjoy the spectacle of watching them, but if you're truly supporting him, what are your expectations of the man? Do you expect an improvement in secondary school infrastructure, primary school infrastructure? Is it the road infrastructure? There must be something you expect of Sim, considering the fact that you didn't vote him into power. He was rigged into power, and the person who rigged him into power is the person who is busy dragging him today. So when you're picking sides, what's the reward for you? What is in it for you? Those fighting, they know exactly what is in it for themselves. But you taking side, what is in it for you? There has to be something in it for you. What is in it for you? Why are you supporting one or the other? These are the critical questions you need to start asking of yourself before donating your brain in a squabble amongst thieves.